Hi friends, this is Shekhar Srinivasan and welcome to my channel. This video is a part of my Xamarin.Forms project training session called as Food Ordering App. This app is aimed for Xamarin.Forms beginners to understand how to design a simple Xamarin.Forms application. And remember that I won't be teaching Xamarin.Forms in this course. For this course, I will be assuming that you have a basic knowledge on Xamarin.Forms and I will be explaining about how to develop this app using Xamarin.Forms step by step. Now, in this course, you can observe how to use Firebase database as the real-time database for storing the data. And I have used MVVM design pattern as the architectural pattern for this application, and also used SQLite database for storing the user cart details before we place an order. Now, let us have a quick tour of this current application, what we are going to develop in next couple of hours. The first screen will be the login screen where the user needs to provide the user credentials to login. And if the user is a new user for this app, then we are providing a provision for the user to register with this app. The user details will be stored within the Firebase Realtime Database. And once the user has logged in, we can observe the following screen where we are trying to retrieve the cart details and the latest food item details from the Firebase database. Whenever the user clicks on the category, then we will be navigated to the list of food items based on that category. And whenever the user selects a food item, then we will be displaying the details of that food item, where the user can select the quantity for the food item and user can add the food item on the cart. Now, whenever the user clicks on the view cart, then we will be displaying the user cart details, where I will be storing the user cart details within the SQLite database. And we can observe in the main page the cart items will be shown. Next, whenever the user places an order, then the order details will be added to the Firebase database. If the user has added some food items to the cart, and if the user tried to log out from the application without placing an order, then we will show some warning message before the user log out. And if the user still wanted to log out, then we will remove all the food items selected by the user from the user cart and we will let the user to log out. We know that one can't design or develop an application in just 2 or 3 hours. So there might be some ignorable loopholes in this application. But as a beginner, you will be understanding many new features. Friends, one more important point. I'm updating this video tutorial as a video course where I will be redesigning the user interface with the support of styles, themes, and I will be updating the course with the payment gateway integration, and also I will be using the collection view with the support of group headers and group footers, and I will be using triggers and visual state managers, and also I will be explaining how to deploy the application to the store. If you are interested for this course as an early bird, you can grab this course for $6 itself in my website with the complete source code of this application. And once I finish the video course, the course fees will be increased. The link for this course, I will place it within the descriptions. Others enjoy this free tutorial, and please give me a like, share this video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe my channel. Now let us get started. Let me first open the Visual Studio for Mac and click on New Project, and let me select the blank forms app and click on Next, and let me provide the name for the app as Food Order App, and let me specify the location for the project also and click on the Create the Project. Let us verify the version of the Xamarin.Forms. It is 4.5. Let me first update all the NuGet packages by accepting the license. Now we can observe the Xamarin.Forms version has got updated. Let me add some of the NuGet packages which are required for our application. Since our application uses the real-time database of Firebase, we need to add the Firebase database.net plugin. So let me first type in Firebase database and select the Firebase database.net plugin. Now for the beautification, let me add the Xamarin.Forms PanCake plugin in all the pages. So let me do that faster. Next, I want to use the material design support for this project. So let me add the NuGet package. So let me type in Xamarin.Forms.Visual.Material and let me select the package, and we need to have the package in all the projects. Now let me create the folder structure which is required for our application. So let me use the magic of video and let me do that faster. Now we can observe the folders fonts, helpers, models, services, view models and views. Next, let me add some images to both the Android and iOS project which are required for our application. So let me first right click on the drawable folder under resources of Android project and right click and select and add existing files, and let me select the files which I have already copied in my assets folder. I will be providing the assets which are required for this application along with the source code. So, and we need to do the same for iOS project also. So let me quickly do that. So right click on the resource folder and select add existing files, and let me copy the image files from the assets. Now once we have copied the images which I have been using within the project, let me add the fonts to the fonts folder. So let me right click on the fonts folder and add the fonts as existing items from the assets. Now we observe I have added two font files to our application, and we know that in order to use the external font files we need to add an entry within the assembly.info.cs file. So let me first do that. So let me open the assembly.info.cs file and let me quickly write the code. Now we can observe the font alias cabin sketch to refer the cabin sketch font and font awesome to refer the material design icons. Next, let us update our project to support the material design. We have already added the relevant NuGet packages, right? So for the Android project, within the main activity.cs file, we need to type in global Xamarin.Forms.Forms material.init of this comma saved instance state. And to support the iOS project, let me open the app.delegate.cs file, and before the load application method, let me type in global Xamarin.Forms.Forms material.init. Next, in order to use the font as images, we need to generate the icon font file, which I have already done. So let me add that file also as an existing file to the helpers folder. I have explained already how to generate the icon font file in my earlier sessions. Once we have completed all these steps, it means that we have configured our application to get started. Before we can start, since we are going to use the real-time database of Firebase, let us create a new project and create a real-time database within the Firebase. So let me flip to the browser. I have already opened the console.firebasegoogle.com. I have already logged in using my Gmail account. The first step here we need to do is to create a new project. So let me click on the add project, and we need to provide the project name. So let me specify the project name as food ordering app, and let me click on continue. And I don't require the Google Analytics for this project, so let me disable that option and click on continue button to provision the resources required for our project. Once done, we can observe the status screen which says your new project is ready. Now let us click on the continue button. We can observe the newly created project overview. Next, within the Firebase, we are interested in using the real-time database, right? So we need to create that. To do that, we need to click on the database menu item and then click on the create database button. This will invoke some wizard steps for creating the database. For the first step, that is secure rules for Cloud Firebase, let me select the mode as start in text mode and then click on the next button. The second step is to set the cloud location for the Firebase database. Let me leave that as the default location and let me click on the done button to create the new database within the Firebase cloud. It will take some time depending upon the internet speed to create the database. Next, we know that our requirement is to have a real-time database, right? Currently, we can observe the cloud Firebase. So from the drop-down list, let me select the real-time database as the option, and we can observe that a real-time database has been created within the Firebase cloud. With this, we have completed the entire configuration that are required to get started with our application development. Now, let us start with our coding. Our first screen is the login view where the registered users can log in and the new users can register to place the orders. So for this requirement, first let us create a new model class. So let me right click on the models folder and a new file. Let me specify the name of the file as user. And now let us define the properties required for our user module. So let me do that faster, and we can observe we have two properties. One is username and the other one is password. Now let us create our first view of our application. So let me right click on the views folder and select the content page XAML and specify the name as login view. Now let us create the room space for coding. Now let me add the support for the font as icons. So let me type in XML namespace colon helpers equal to, let me select the helpers namespace. Now let us define the grid which is required for creating the login view. Just to save your time, let me once again use the magic of video to fast forward my typing. Now we can observe we have a grid with two rows, where the first row I have taken a stack layout to display the logo and the login form header. And for the second row, I have taken a stack layout to keep the design simple. We have two entry controls for accepting the username and the password. And also you can observe we have a login button to sign in the user, and also I have provided a provision for the new users to register. Once the UI required for the login view has been designed, next let us write the code for supporting the login and register functionalities. So let me right click on the services folder and let me create a new file with the name userservice.cs. Since our database is Firebase Realtime Database, let me first define the variable for the Firebase client. So let me type in Firebase client, let me resolve the namespace error, and let me type in client. Now let me define a constructor and let us create the instance for the Firebase client. So let me type in client equal to new Firebase client. We need to provide the endpoint URL of the database of Firebase. So let me quickly flip to the Firebase database and let me copy the URL and paste the URL as the constructor argument. Now let me define the methods to support the login register functionalities which are required for our application. So let me first verify if the user is existing or not. So let me type in public async task boolean is user exist of string uname, where user equal to await client.child of users. So this users will act like a table for us, and then dot once async user dot where u goes to u dot object name dot username equal to uname dot first dot default. And let us return true if the user exists, else we shall return false. So let me type in return user not equal to null. Now let me write the code for registering the user. So let me type in public async task of boolean register user of string uname comma string password. If await is user exists of uname equal to false, await client dot child of users dot post async of new user username equal to uname password equal to passwd. And we can observe some error, right? So to support this query, we need to include the Firebase database query namespace. So let me type in using firebase.database.query. Now we can observe the error has been resolved. And since we are adding the new user, let me type in return true, else return false. Next, let me define a method to support the login. So let me type in public async task boolean login user of string uname comma string password, where user equal to await client dot child of users dot once async of user dot where u goes to u dot object dot username equal to uname, where u goes to u dot object dot password equal to passwd dot first dot default. Now let us return the boolean value true if the user exists, else let us return false if the user doesn't exist. So let me type in return of user not equal to null. Once the service methods are created, let us create the view models which are required for the view. One small observation is that we know our application will be having multiple views, and since we are going to use MVVM as the architectural pattern for this application, every view will be associated with a view model, right? It means that we will be having multiple view models within our application, and every view model has to implement iNotify property change, right? So it is always advisable to create a base view model with the implementation of iNotify property change. So let us do that. So let me right click on the view models folder and click on add a new file, and let me provide the name for the file as base view model. Let me remove the constructor and let us implement iNotify property changed. Let me first resolve the namespace, and also let me implement the interface using the quick action. Then let me quickly write the boilerplate code which is required for on property changed. Now our base view model is ready, which we can use from any other view models. Now let us create the login view model. Let me once again right click on the view models folder and then select add new file, and let me provide the name for the class as login view model, and let me create some room space for the coding. And then the first thing we need to do is to inherit the base view model. So let me type in inherits base view model. Now let us create the properties which are required for our login view. So once again, using the magic of video, let me do that faster. And once we can observe, there are three properties. One is username, the next one is password, and the third one is a boolean property is busy. Next, we require two command objects to support the login and register button. Right, so let me type in public command login command and public command register command. Now within the constructor, let me define the instance of login and register command. So to do that, let me type in login command equal to new command of async await login command async, and register command equal to new command of async goes to await register command async. Now let us generate the methods for both login command async and register command async. Now let us try to write the code as per our requirement. First, let me update the register command async method as async method. So let me type in async, and my requirement is if the server is processing the request again, if a new request comes from the user, I would like to cancel that request. And as soon as the new request is taken, I would like to set the isBusy property as true. And once the processing is completed, I would like to set the isBusy property value as false. And if any exceptions are raised while processing the request, then I would like to display the error message as an alert. So let us write the code first. So let me type in if of isBusy return. Try isBusy equal to true, and within the catch block, let me type in await application.current.mainpage.display alert of error comma ex dot message of OK. And within the finally block, let me type in isBusy equal to false. Now the same functionality is required for the login command async also. So let me copy this code and paste the code within the method, and we can observe some error. We need to update the method as an async. So let me do that. To register the user, let me type in var user service equal to new user service, and we know that the register user method of the service will be returning a boolean value. So let me quickly define a full property to hold the result value. So let me copy the isBool property code and let me paste it and update the property as result. Now we have a boolean property result. So let us continue with our coding. So let me type in result equal to await user service dot register user of username comma password. If result await application dot current dot main page dot display alert of success comma user registered OK. Else await application dot current dot main page dot display alert of error user already exists with the credentials. Now let us update the code for the login command async. So let me type in var user service equal to new user service. Result equal to await user service dot login user of username comma password. If result is true, then let us set the user information with the preferences so that we can access the data in the other views. Also, so let me type in preferences and let me quick fix to use the Xamarin.essential namespace and then dot set of username comma username. This will store the value within the preferences. Next, we need to navigate to the next page. So let me type in await application.current.mainpage.navigation.push model async of new products view. Else, if the user credentials are wrong, then let us display an alert. So let me type in await application.current.mainpage.display alert of error invalid username or password comma OK. With this, we have created our login view model. Finally, we need to bind this view model to the view. So let me open the login view and let me set the XML namespace :VM equal to, let me select the view models namespace, and then we need to set the binding context of the page. So let me type in content page dot binding context VM : login view model, and finally let me bind our command objects to the buttons. So for the login button, let me type in command equal to binding login command, and for the register command equal to binding register command. Now let us set this login view as the main page. So let me open the app.xaml.cs file and type in main page equal to new login view, and let me execute the code. Oops, we have an error. Okay, we have invoked the products view, but we have not created the one. So let me right click on the views folder and click on add new file, and let me provide the name as products view. And let me add some content just to display. So let me type in stack layout and within that a label with the text products view. And once again, let me execute the application. Oops, again a small error. Okay, we need to resolve the namespace error that the view model. Let me do that. Once again, let me execute the code. We can observe the login view has been displayed. Okay, we have added the material design support, but we haven't specified our content page to use it. So let me once again flip to our view and update the code within the content page. Let me type in visual equal to material. Now let me save this file and flip to the simulator. We can observe a nice login form is displayed. Right. Next, let me provide the username as Shaker and the password as Srinivas and click on the register button. We can observe an error because we have created the real-time database, but we haven't provided the permission to access the database from other applications outside. So let us do that. So let me flip to our Firebase database and click on the rules, and we can observe the read and write permissions are set to false. Let us set the permission now. So let me type in auth equal to null for read, and let me do the same for write also, auth equal to null. Let me click on the publish button to publish these rules. And once again, let me execute our application. And once again, let me provide the value for the username and password and click on register button. This time we can observe an alert stating user registered. And let us verify if the login is working or not. So let me type in some wrong password and click on the login button. We can observe an error, invalid username or password. Now let us observe the valid user credentials, that is username is Shekhar and the password is Srinivas. Now let me click on the login button. We can observe we have navigated to the products view. We shall update this view later, but now let me flip back to the Firebase database. We can observe a table with the name users is written. Let me expand the table. We can observe the user Shaker with the password Srinivasan has been stored within the Firebase database successfully. Now, we have observed the user record has been successfully added to the Firebase Realtime Database to the users table, right? Next, in order to create the products view, we need to have the categories, the products, the cart details, etc. so that we can display those categories and the products in the products view, right? It means that we have lots of work to do. No problem. Let us try to complete that step by step. First, let us create the model category. So let me right click on the model folder and add a new file, and let me provide the name for the class as category. Now, let us define the properties that are required for the category. So let me type in prop_int category ID, prop string category name, prop string category poster, prop string image URL. Next, let us try to create an helper class to add the various categories to the categories table within the Firebase Realtime Database. So let me right click on the helpers folder and click on add new file. And let me specify the name of the file as add category data. Now let me first provide the room space for the coding. Great. Now let me define a property to maintain the list of categories. So let me type in prop list of categories get and set. Let me resolve the namespace problem, and within the constructor let me type in categories equal to. Once again, let me use the magic of video, and also to save the time let me paste some list of categories. Boom. We can observe I have added some 6 categories, right? Okay, let me quickly format the list. Now, we have the data to be added to the categories table at the Firebase Realtime Database. Next, let us define a method to perform the task. Now, since we need to interact with the Firebase database, let me define the variable for Firebase client. So let me type in Firebase client and let me resolve the namespace issue. And within the constructor, let me type in client equal to new Firebase client of, and let me paste the Firebase URL. Now let me define the method. So let me type in public async task add categories async. To handle any errors, let me type in try block, and within that let us have a for each loop to read the data from the categories collection, so that we can add each category to our table. So let me type in for each where category in categories await client.child of categories. Since we wanted to add a new record, we need to use post async of new category ID equal to category.category ID, category name equal to category.category name, category poster equal to category.category poster, image URL equal to category.image URL. And we can observe an error, and to resolve that we need to include the Firebase database query namespace. So let me do that, and within the catch block let me type in await application and let me resolve the namespace issue dot current dot main page dot display alert of error comma ex message comma OK. Now we have the code to add the data to the categories table. Next we need to have the data for the products, right? Here the products are nothing but the food items. So let us define that model. For that, let me right click on the model folder and let us add a new file, and let me provide the class name as food item. Now let me first remove the constructor and let us define the properties that are required for the food item. So let me type in prop int product ID, prop string image URL, prop string name, prop string description, prop string rating, prop string rating detail, prop string home selected, prop decimal price, prop int category ID. Once we have the model for the food item, let us define a helper class to add the food items to the Firebase Realtime Database table food items. To do that, once again let me right click on the helpers folder and click on add new file, and let me specify the name of the class as food item data. First let me provide the room space for the coding, and let me define a property to hold the list of food items. So let me type in prop list of food items, and let me resolve the namespace issues. Now within the constructor let me type in food items equal to, once again let me use the magic of video and paste the data required for the food items. We can observe there are list of food items I have added using the collection initializer. Next, let us define the method to read the data from the food items collection and add the data to the Firebase database. So let me type in Firebase client and let me resolve the namespace issue, and then within the constructor let me type in client equal to new Firebase client of, let me paste the URL of the Firebase. Next, let me define the method to add the data. So let me type in public async task food items async. Let me define a try block, and then we need a for each loop to iterate within the food items. So let me type in for each where item in food items await client.child of, I would like to have the name of the table as food items dot post async of new food item, category ID equal to item.category ID, product ID equal to item.product ID, description equal to item.description, home selected equal to item.home selected, image URL equal to item.image URL, name equal to item.name, price equal to item.price, rating equal to item.rating, rating detail equal to item.rating detail. And once again let me resolve the namespace issue, and within the catch block let me type in await application.current.mainpage.display alert of error comma ex message comma OK. Now once we have the helper classes to add the data to the categories and the food items table, next we need to actually perform the task, right? So let us have a content page to perform these actions. So let me right click on the views folder and let me add a new file, and let me provide the name for the file as settings page. Now let me make the design very simple. So let me use a stack layout. Within that let me type in button, text equal to manage categories, x colon name equal to button categories, clicked equal to button categories underscore click. And then we need one more button for the products. So let me type in button text equal to manage products, x colon name equal to button products, and clicked equal to, let me add an event handler. Now let us provide the definition for these event handlers. First let me add the required namespace. So let me type in using food order app.helpers, and within the button categories let me type in var acd equal to new add category data, await acd dot add categories data, and let me define the method as an async method. Next, within the button products underscore clicked event handler, let me type in var afd equal to new add food item data, await afd dot add food item async, and let me define this method also as an async method. Now let me set this settings page as the main page for the application. So let me open app.xaml.cs file and let me comment the previous main page, and then let me type in main page equal to new navigation page of new settings page. Now let me execute this application and let me click on the manage categories and let me flip to the Firebase database. We can observe the categories data has been added. Now let me flip back to our application and let me click on the manage products and let me flip to the Firebase database, and we can observe that each food item is getting added to our food items table of Firebase Realtime Database. Once we have added the data to the categories and the food items table present at the Firebase Realtime Database, next let us design our products view content page. So let me open the products view.xaml file, and first let me remove the stack layout and let us use the grid view for designing the user interface. So let me type in grid margin equal to 20, 0, 0, 0, grid dot row definitions, and let me define a row definition height equal to auto. I will add the rows as per the requirement later, and let me define the grid dot columns. So let me type in grid dot column definitions, column definition width equal to asterisk. Since we need only one column, if you want you can ignore the column definition, but just for the code clarity I have written the column definitions. And before I start with the design, let me quickly add the required XML namespace for this view. So let me type in XML namespace colon helpers equal to, let me select the helpers namespace and let me type in XML namespace colon VM, and let me select the view models namespace. And if you remember the display of the products view, it was not displayed within the safe area. So to handle that, let me type in XML namespace colon iOS equal to, let me select the iOS namespace and then iOS colon page dot use safe area equal to true. For this design, I would like to use the PanCake plugin. For the people who are not aware of PanCake plugin, remember that it is used to provide nice rounded corner shapes, gradient color backgrounds for the shapes, etc. So let me add the plugin to our project. To do that, let me right click on the solution and click on manage NuGet packages, and let me type in PanCake at the search, and let us select the right PanCake plugin. And we need this plugin to be added in all the projects. So let me select all the projects and click on the OK button. Now let me open the design required for this page, and instead of confusing ourselves with the entire design, let us observe only the first row, and according to this design we require a grid with 2 rows and 4 columns. Okay, now once again let us use the magic of video and let me fast forward the design of the required grid. Now we can observe there is a grid for the first row which consists of 2 rows and 4 columns, right? Now let us define the data to be displayed in the relevant cells. So let me type in label text equal to welcome, grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 0, text color equal to silver. Next, I would like to have one more label to display the logged in username. So let me type in label text equal to binding username grid.row equal to 1, grid.column equal to 0, and font size equal to 20, font attributes equal to bold. Next, I would like to have some image button. Some people might use an image and attach a tap gestures also, but I like this way. So let me type in image button grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 1, grid.row span equal to 2, source equal to font image, font family equal to font awesome, gilf equal to x:static, helpers colon icon font dot view list, size equal to 40, color equal to purple. Let me set the margin equal to 0, 0, 10, 0, horizontal options equal to n. I have already explained how to use font as images in my earlier session. So if you are new or missed that concept, please refer to that video or session. Next, I would like to show the number of items the user has placed in the cart. So let me type in label text equal to binding user cart items count, font size equal to subtitle, grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 2, grid.row span equal to 2, horizontal text alignment equal to n, vertical text alignment equal to star. Then we need an image button. So let me type in image button grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 2, grid.row span equal to 2, source equal to font image, font family equal to font awesome, gilf equal to x:static, helpers colon icon font dot shopping, size equal to 40, color equal to green, margin equal to 0, 0, 10, 0, horizontal options equal to n, and command equal to binding view cart command. Next, we need one more image button to sign out the user. So let me type in image button grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 3, grid.row span equal to 2, source equal to font image, font family equal to font awesome, gilf equal to x:static, helpers colon icon font dot logout, size equal to 40, color equal to red. And let me set the margin as 0, 0, 10, 0. Horizontal options, let me set as end, and we need to set the command. So let me type in command equal to binding logout command. This completes our first row. Now let us observe what is the requirement for the second row. To create the second row, we need one row and two columns. Okay. Now let me add one more row to our main grid. I always like to keep the things simple instead of confusing ourselves with the entire design and thinking it as complex. My personal opinion is to concentrate on each row's requirement and to resolve that requirement. By the time we complete all the rows, your entire requirement of the content page will be completed. What do you think, friends? Now once again, let me define the grid for the second row. And as per our requirement, we require only one row and two columns, right? So let me type in grid.row equal to 1, grid.column equal to 0. And we need the column definitions. So let me type in grid.column definitions, and within that we need the column definition where the first column requires the maximum size. So let me type in width equal to asterisk. And for the second column, let me set the width as auto. I'm not defining the row definitions, as I already said that if the row requirement is only one or column requirement is only one, defining the row definition or column definitions are not mandatory. Now for the first column, I require a search bar. So let me type in search bar grid.column equal to 0, placeholder equal to search food, background equal to transparent, and horizontal options equal to fill. Next, I would like to have an image button. So let me type in image button grid.column equal to 1, source equal to font image, font family equal to font awesome, gilf equal to x:static, helpers colon icon font dot search web, size equal to 40, color equal to black, margin equal to 0, 0, 10, 0, horizontal options equal to n. This concludes our second row. Next, let us observe our requirement for the third row. Now, once again, let me add one more row to our main grid. So let me type in row definition height equal to auto, and let me minimize my other two rows so that I can have a proper view for designing the UI. Okay, next, let me define a collection view this time, and let me type in the item source equal to binding categories, margin equal to 0, 20, height request equal to 125, vertical options equal to fill and expand, horizontal scroll bar visibility equal to never, items layout equal to horizontal list, selection changed equal to, let me attach an event handler, and I want the selection mode to be single and the grid.row equal to 2. Now let us define the collection view template. So let me type in collection view.item template, data template, and let me use a simple stack layout, padding equal to 0, 0, 15, 0, frame, height request equal to 50, hash shadow equal to false, background color equal to hash some color code, and corner radius equal to 10. I like to keep the frame so that you get a nice shape for your content. Let me have an image to display the category. So let me type in image source equal to binding image URL, and then I would like to define a label. So let me type in label text equal to binding category name, horizontal text alignment equal to center. Now let us observe the next requirement to complete this task. We require two rows and single column, right? Okay, let me add two rows to our main grid. To do that, let me copy the previous row and let me paste that. Once again, let me paste the row, and this time the last row should occupy the entire available space. So let me replace the auto with asterisk. Now let me collapse the collection view also for providing more room space for designing the UI. And let me define a label to display the latest products. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 3, text equal to latest items, font size equal to 25, font attributes equal to bold, and then next let me use a collection view item source equal to binding latest items, margin equal to 0, 20, 10, 0, vertical options equal to start, vertical scroll bar visibility equal to never, grid.row equal to 4. Now let us design the item template as per the requirement. So let me type in collection view.item template, data template. Let me use a simple stack layout, margin equal to 0, 15, and then grid.row definitions, and let me define 3 row definitions using the height as auto. Now for this design, I would like to use a PanCake. So let me first include the XML namespace required for using the PanCake. So let me type in XML namespace :PanCake, and let me select the namespace of the PanCake plugin. Now once again, let me scroll down and let me type in PanCake :PanCake view grid.row equal to 0, corner radius equal to 20, margin equal to 0, 0, 10, 0. And then I need an image source. So let me type in image source equal to binding image URL, height request equal to 220, aspect equal to fill. And then I would like to use a frame grid.row equal to 1, margin equal to 20, minus 80, 20, 70, background color equal to white, corner radius equal to 15, horizontal options equal to n. Next, let me define the labels to display the food item information. So let me type in label text equal to binding price, string format 0:C, font size equal to medium, font attributes equal to bold, text color equal to black, height request equal to 10. And then we need a label to display the food item name. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 1, text equal to binding name, font size equal to 22, font attributes equal to bold, vertical text alignment equal to center, image grid.row equal to 2, source equal to star, horizontal options equal to start, width request equal to 20. Next, I would like to have a label grid.row equal to 2, margin equal to 30, 0, 0, 0, font size equal to 15, vertical options equal to, and then I wanted to have a formatted text for this label. So let me type in label.formatted text, formatted string, span text equal to binding rating, font attributes equal to bold, span text equal to binding description, text color equal to hash. Let me specify some code. Let me format the UI. With this, we have completed the UI requirement for the products view. Next, we need to define the view model for supporting this UI design. Before we start creating the view model, let us prepare the services which will be used by our view model, so that it will be easy for us to create the view model. So let us observe our requirement. We need some services to get the data from the categories table, so that we can display the various categories at this collection view, and we need a service to get the latest items from the products table, so that the latest items can be displayed at this collection view. And also we need a service which will return the count value of the cart item. Okay, we have understood this requirement. Now let us try to implement this requirement step by step. First, let us create the service to interact with the categories table. So let me right click on the services folder and add a new file with the name categories data service. Now let me define the variable for the Firebase client. So let me type in Firebase client, and within the constructor, let me type in client equal to new Firebase client of, let me paste the URL of our Firebase Realtime Database. So let us define the method to get the list of categories. So let me type in public async task of list of category, get categories async, where categories equal to await client.child of our table name is categories dot once async of the model category. And let me add the required namespace before I continue. So let me type in using system.link and using firebase.database.query. And now let us select the data. So let me continue. Dot select of C goes to new category of category ID equal to C dot object dot category ID, category name equal to C dot object dot category name, category poster equal to C dot object dot category poster, image URL equal to C dot object dot image URL dot toList. And let us return this list of categories. So let me type in return categories. Our first requirement is completed. So the next requirement we have is to have a service method which will return us the latest items. So let me right click on the services folder and let us add a new file, where the name of the file I would like to provide will be food item service.cs. Now first let us define the variable for the Firebase client. So let me type in Firebase client, and within the constructor let me define an object for the client. So let me type in client equal to new Firebase client of, let me paste the URL of our Firebase database client. Now not only we have a requirement to display the latest items, we will be also having some requirement later to display all the food items, or might be we need to display the list of food items based on the category, right? So what I do is, let me define the required methods for those tasks also now itself. So let me type in public async task of list of food item get food items async. I have resolved all the namespace issues using the quick fix. And if you are using Windows, you can do that using Control plus dot plus enter. Now, before I start with the coding, let me include the namespaces which are required for our coding using system.link and using firebase.database.query. Now, let us write the definition for the get food items async, where products equal to await client.child of food items dot once async of food item dot select f goes to new food item dot toList. Now, let us set the value for the properties by reading the data from Firebase. So let me type in category ID equal to f.object.category ID, description equal to f.object.description, home selected equal to f.object.home selected, image URL equal to f.object.image URL, name equal to f.object.name, price equal to f.object.price, product ID equal to f.object.product ID, rating equal to f.object.rating, rating detail equal to f.object.rating detail. And finally, let us return the products. This will return the entire list of food items. Next, let us define a method to return a list of food items based on the category. So let me type in public async task of observable collection of food item get food items by category async of int. Let me close the solution explorer so that we will have more room space. And let me specify the argument name as category ID, where food items by category equal to new observable collection of food item, where items equal to await of get food items async dot where of p goes to p dot category ID equal to category ID dot toList. Now let us try to iterate within the items collection and let us add the data to the food items by category. So let me type in for each where item in items food items by category dot add of item, and let us return the food items by category. Next, let us define the method which is actually required for our products view model. So let me type in public async task of observable collection of food item get latest food items async. Now let me define an instance to maintain the collection of latest food items. So let me type in where latest food items equal to new observable collection of food item, where item equal to await get food items async dot order by descending of f goes to f dot product id dot take of 3. This statement will return the latest 3 product items which are added, and let us once again loop through the latest item and let us add to our collection. So let me type in for each where item in items latest food items dot add of item, and let me return the latest food items. This concludes our second requirement. And finally, the last requirement is to have a service which handles the user cart items. So let me once again right click on the services folder and let me add a new file, and let me provide the name for the file as cart item service. Now let me remove the constructor and let me define a method to return the number of items the user selected. So let me type in public int get user cart count. As of now, since we don't have any cart details, let me return a dummy value 0. So let me type in return 0, and once the user has logged out from our application, or if the user has placed the orders for the cart items, then we know that we should not maintain the user cart details further, right? So let me define one more method to achieve that. So let me type in public void remove items from cart. As of now, let us have a 0 line implementation for this method. Now, whatever the requirements our product view model has, we have completed those requirements, which indirectly means that it is now the time to create the product view model. So, let me right click on the view model folder and let us add a new file, and let me provide the name for the file as products view model. Let me first remove the constructor, later I will add it. And also we know that every view model has to implement iNotify property change, which we already implemented using the base view model. So let us inherit the base view model. Now let us define the properties which are required for our products view. So let me type in prop full private string underscore username. Let me change the property name as username and underscore property name as underscore username. And within the set block, let me add the on property changed method. Next, let me define a full property to maintain the details about the user cart. So once again, let me type in prop full and let me change the data type to int and then underscore product name as underscore user cart items count, and let me update the remaining property members accordingly. Okay, we have defined two properties. One is the user name and the other one is the user cart items count. Next, let us define a property to maintain the data of the categories. So let me type in public observable collection of categories. And then we need a collection to maintain the list of latest item, right? So let me define one more property, public observable collection of food item latest items. Now let me add the constructor, and within the constructor first let me set the values for the username. So let me type in var username equal to preferences dot get of username comma string dot empty. If string dot is null or empty of uname, let me set the username as guest, else let me set the username as uname. Then let us set the user cart's item count property. So let me type in user cart items count equal to new cart item service dot get user cart count. As of now, it will be returning 0 as the value. But later, once we update the code for our service, this will display the result properly. Next, let me define the objects for the categories and also for the latest items. So let me type in categories equal to new observable collection of category. List items equal to new observable collection of food items. And then let me invoke the methods. Let me type in get categories and get latest items. Now let us generate these methods. Now within the get categories method, let me type in var data equal to await new category data service dot get categories. Next, let me clear the categories. So let me type in categories dot clear, and let us add the new categories. So let me type in for each var item in data of categories dot add of item. Similarly, within the get latest items method, let me define a variable var data equal to await new food item service dot get latest food items async. Let me clear the latest items collection using latest items dot clear, and then let me define a for each loop to add these items to the collection. So let me type in for each var item in data and latest items dot add of item. Once we have defined the properties, Next, let us define the commands which are required for the products view model. So let me type in prop command and let me resolve the namespace issue, and let me specify the property name as view cart command. And similarly, let me define one more property, prop command logout command. Now within the constructor, let me set viewCart command equal to new command of async await viewCart async. Logout command equal to new command of async goes to await logout async. Now let me generate the methods for the logout async and the viewCart async. Now whenever the viewCart command is invoked, then we need to navigate to the user cart content page. So within the viewCart async method, let me type in await application.current.mainpage.navigation.pushModel async of new cart. And similarly, whenever the user invokes the logout command, our requirement is to navigate to the logout page. So let me type in await application.current.mainpage.navigation.pushModel async of new logout view. Now within our views folder, let me create the content page for the cart view, and let me just add a simple label with the text cart view. And similarly, let me create one more content page, and let me provide the name for the pages as logout view. And in this page also, let me add a label with the text logout view. Now within the view model, let me resolve the namespace issue. Now let us once again set the main page, because earlier we had updated the main page as the settings page, right? Now let me open the app.xaml.cs file and let me comment the main page line, and then let me type in string uname equal to preferences.get of username comma string.empty. If string dot is null or empty of uname, then I would like to set the main page as the new login view, else I would like to set the main page as the products view. And finally, before I execute this page, we need to set the binding context to the products view. So let me open the products view.xaml and let me type in content page dot binding context, and within that let me type in vm:products view model. Now let me execute the page. We can observe the response as expected. Currently we have no cart items, and we can observe the value 0 because we have hard coded that value. Later we shall update with the proper data, and we can also observe the latest 3 food items are displayed, and also we can observe the various categories of food items are displayed horizontally. Once we have got the result, the next step we need to perform is, whenever I click on the category, I would like to display the list of food items based on that category. So let me open the code behind the file of products view page, and let me close the solution explorer to provide some room space. And before I start the code, let me include the namespace which is required for our task. So let me type in using system.link, and within the collection view selection changed event, let me type in where category equal to e.currentSelection.first or default as category, and let me resolve the namespace issue. And before I navigate to the next page, let us verify if the category is null or not. So let me type in if category equal to null return, and then let me navigate to our category view. So let me type in await navigation.pushModel async of new category view of category, and let me define this method as an async. Next, let me assign null value to the selected item so that we won't have any issues if we select the same item once again. So let me type in collection view center dot selected item equal to null. Once we have completed our products view page, now let us create our category view page. So let me quickly open the Solution Explorer and let me right click on the Views folder and add a new file where the name of the file I would like to provide is category view. Now, before we start with designing the page, let us have a look at what we need to do. Okay, this is quite a simple UI design. We require 3 rows and 1 column. Let us first add the required namespaces for this content page. So let me type in XML namespace colon helpers equal to, let me select the helpers namespace, and then XML namespace colon pancake equal to, let me select the pancake namespace. Next, we understood that for this page requirement, we need a grid with 3 rows and 1 column, right? So let me define the grid. So let me type in grid and then grid.row definitions, and I would like to define 3 rows. So let me type in row definition height equal to auto, and for the second row also row definition height equal to auto, and the remaining space available I would like to provide for the third row. So let me type in row definition height equal to asterisk. Now for the first row, let us have the image. So let me type in image grid.row equal to 0, source equal to binding selected category poster, and aspect equal to aspect fill, vertical options equal to start, and then I require a label to display the category name. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 1, text equal to binding selected category name, text color equal to white, font attributes I require is bold, font size let me specify it as 35, and finally margin equal to 25, minus 85, 0, 0. Next, I require an image button to navigate to the back page. So let me type in image button, source equal to font image, font family equal to font awesome, gilf equal to x colon static, helpers colon icon font dot arrow left, size equal to 30, color equal to white. And then let us set the grid.row as 0, horizontal options equal to start, aspect equal to aspect fit, vertical options equal to start, margin equal to 10, 30, and clicked equal to, let me attach an event handler. With this, we have completed our requirement of the first and second row. Next, for the third row, let us use a pancake. So let me type in pancake colon pancake view grid.row equal to 2, corner radius equal to 30, background color equal to white, margin equal to 0, minus 40. Now within the pancake, let us define the grid. So let me type in grid padding equal to 25, 30. And for this requirement, I need 2 columns and 2 rows. So let me type in grid.column definitions, column definition width equal to asterisk. And for the next column, let me define column definition width equal to auto. And let us have the row definitions also. So let me type in grid.row definitions, and for the first row let us have the row definition with the height auto, and for the second row let us have the row definition with the height asterisk. Now once we have defined the rows and columns for the grid, next let us define the UI elements required to display the food items. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 0, text equal to binding total food items, string.format equal to placeholder of 0, total items, and I would like to have the font attributes as bold and font size equal to 18. And then let me have an image grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 1, source equal to more. And then I would like to have a collection view to display the list of food items. So let me type in collection view, item source equal to binding food items by category, vertical options equal to start, vertical scroll bar visibility equal to never, grid.row equal to 1, grid.column equal to 0, grid.colspan equal to 2, and the selection mode I would like to keep it as single, and for the selection change let me attach an event handler. Next, let us define the template for displaying the food item. So let me type in collection view.item template, then the data template, I just make the design simple. So let me use the stack layout, and I would like to have a frame has shadows equal to false, background color equal to some color code, height request equal to 90, corner radius equal to 20, margin equal to 0, 10. And then within that I would like to have a grid where I require 3 columns and 3 rows. So let me use the magic of video and let me create the rows and columns as per the requirement. Now let me once again use the pancake for displaying the image. So let me type in pancake pancake view grid.column equal to 0, grid.row equal to 0, grid.rowspan equal to 3, corner radius equal to 12, margin equal to 0, 0, 10, 0. Let me type in image source equal to binding, image URL, height request equal to 100, width request equal to 95, aspect equal to aspect fill. Next, let me define a label within the grid.row equal to 0 and grid.column equal to 1 and grid.column span equal to 2, text equal to binding name, font size equal to 15, font attributes equal to bold. Next, let me define one more label. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 1, grid.column equal to 1, grid.column span equal to 2, text equal to binding description, font size equal to 15, text color equal to some color code. Next, we need an image. So let me type in image grid.row equal to 2, grid.column equal to 1, source equal to star, horizontal options equal to start, width request equal to 20. Next, I would like to have a label with the formatting. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 2, grid.column equal to 1, margin equal to 30, 0, 0, 0, font size equal to 15, vertical options equal to center, and then in order to format the text of the label, we can use label.formatted text, and within that we need to use formatted string, and then we can use a span tag. So let me type in span text equal to binding rating, font attributes equal to bold, and span text equal to binding rating detail, text color equal to, let me assign some color code. And remember that from Xamarin.Forms 4.7 version onwards, we have been introduced with multi-value binding. If anytime you have a requirement to bind the data with multiple properties, then you can try to use that feature also. Some notification arrived. Okay, let me close that first. Next, we need an image. So let me type in image grid.row equal to 0, grid.column equal to 2, source equal to binding, home selected, height request equal to 15. Once we have created the category view, let us define the view model to take the responsibility of our category view. So let me open the Solution Explorer and right click on the view model, and let me create a new file and provide the name as category view model. Done. The first step we need to do is to inherit our base view model. So let me do that. Next, let me define a full property and let me update the property data type as category and the private variable as underscore selected category and the property name as selected category. And let me make the relevant changes within the set and get blocks. And let me update the property data type also as category, and within the set block, let me type in on property changed. Done. Next, we would like to maintain a collection of food items by category. So let me define a public observable collection of food item and let me provide the name as food items by category set get. Next, I require one more property for the total food items. So let me use once again the magic of video and quickly define this property. Next, let me define a constructor and let me accept category instance as an argument. Now, let me set the selected category equal to category and let me define an instance for the food items by category. And then let me invoke a method called as get food items and let me pass the category.category ID as the argument value. Next, let me generate the method and let me remove the throw new exception statement and let us write the code as per our requirement. If you remember, we had already defined the method to retrieve the food items based on the category ID within the food item service, right? So let me type in var data equal to await new food item service dot get food items by category async of category ID. And let me define this method as async. Next, let me type in food items by category dot clear. And let us iterate within the data and add the food items to our collection. So let me type in for each var item in data, food items by category dot add of item, and after the loop, let me type in total food items equal to food items by category dot count. This completes our view model. Next, we need to bind this view model to our category view. So let me open the code behind of category view and let me type in category view model CVM. And for the constructor, let me define an argument category. And within the constructor, let me type in CVM equal to new category view model of category. And this dot binding context equal to CVM. Next, within the image button click, let me type in await navigation dot pop model async and let me set this method as async. And within the collection view selection changed event, let me type in var selected product equal to e.current selection dot first or default as food item. If selected product equal to null, let us return. And let us navigate to the products view page. So let me type in await navigation dot push model async of new products details view of selected product. And let me define the method also as an async. And finally, let me type in collection view sender dot selected item equal to null. Now, before we execute, let me define a view with the name product details view. And within the content page, let me type in label text equal to product details view and let me execute the page. Oops, an error. And what is the reason for this error? Oh, I forgot to pass the selected product to this constructor. Okay, so let me open the code behind for this view and within the constructor, let me type in food item and let me resolve the namespace issue. And let me type in food item as the argument name. And let me once again execute this application. We can observe the products view. Let me first click on the burger category. We can observe 4 food items are present. And once again, let me go back and let me select this time the desserts category. We can observe 2 food items are present within the desserts category. Now, once the user selects the food item from the product details list, then our requirement is to show a page like this with the details of the individual food item, where the user can specify the quantity of the items and the user can add the food item to the cart. And now we have a requirement such that till the user places the order, the number of food items the user has selected needs to be maintained. And the best way to store the data will be storing the user cart details within the local SQLite database. So before we continue with the design for this page, let us try to complete the prerequisites to design this page. So to do that, let me first right click on the model folder and add a new interface, and the name I would like to provide is iSQLite. Now before we start with the coding, in order to interact with the local database SQLite, I would like to take the support SQLite Net PCL. So let me right click on the solution and click on manage NuGet packages, and within the search let me type in SQLite Net and let me select the SQLite Net PCL plugin. You can observe a feather leaf as the icon for this plugin. Just in case if you get confused in understanding what plugin you need to select. And then let me select all the projects and click on OK to add the NuGet packages in all the projects. Next, within the interface, let us define the method for getting the SQLite connection. So let me type in SQLite connection get connection. Once we have completed this task, next we need to perform the implementation for this interface at the native projects, that is within an Android and iOS projects. We can also perform this task within the core project also. But since from long time I'm habituated to follow this procedure, doing this way I feel comfortable. And you are free to do the same using the new approach also. Now, first, let me provide the implementation for iOS. So let me right click on the iOS project and let me add a new file where the name of the file I would like to provide is SQLite_iOS. Let me first remove the constructor, and then this class has to provide the implementation for the iSQLite interface. So let me implement iSQLite. Then let me quickly fix the error by generating the interface method. Now within the method, let us try to write the code to create the database file within the iOS file system, and let us return the connection string. So let me type in var SQLite file name equal to mydatabase.db3, and let us get the memory block of the special folder allocated for our application. So let me type in string documents path equal to environment.getFolders path of environment.specialfolder.personal. One important point we need to remember with respect to iOS will be we should not store the data directly. So let me create a folder for our application so that we can store our database file within that folder. So let me type in string library path equal to path.combine of document paths, and I provide two dots to specify that I wanted to move a folder down, and I would like to provide the folder name as library. Next, let us get the path for our database file. So let me type in var path equal to path.combine of library path comma SQLite file name. Once we have got the path for our database file, then let us define the connection object based on the path. So let me type in var connection equal to new SQLite connection of path, and let us return the connection object. Next, let us do the same for the Android project also. The implementation for the Android project will almost remain same. So let me first copy the code from the iOS implementation, and then let me right click on the Android project and let us add a new file and provide the name as SQLite_Android, and let us implement the iSQLite interface. And let me remove the constructor for this class and paste the copied definition to this class. Next, for Android, I don't require to create an additional folders to maintain the data. So let me first remove the library path statement. Next, let me quick fix the namespace issue for the path, and then we don't have a library path anymore. So let me update that with the documents path. This will be the implementation for the interface iSQLite within the Android project. I want this class to be involved in the dependency service. So above the namespace, let me type in assembly colon dependency of. Let me resolve the namespace issue, and we need to type in type of SQLite underscore Android, and let me quick fix using the fully qualified name. Next, we need to do the same in the iOS project also. So let me open the file, and above the namespace, let me type in assembly colon dependency of type of SQLite underscore iOS, and once again let me resolve the namespace issue. The above steps will configure our project to support the SQLite database integrations. Next, let us create the model classes which are required for our application. So let me right click on the model folder, and let me create a file with the name cart item. This class will act like a schema for creating the database table. So let me first decorate the class using table attribute, and let me specify the name as cart item. Next, let us define the properties required for the cart item. So let me type in prop int cart item ID, and I want this column to be an auto increment and primary key column. Next, I wanted to define a property called as product ID. Then I need a property called as product name and price of type decimal, and then a property to maintain the quantity. Once we have defined the cart item model, next let us define one more model called as cart to maintain the food items selected by the user within his cart. So let me right click on the model folder, and let me create a new file and provide the name as cart. And for the cart, let me define the properties. Within the user cart, I would like to maintain the details of the user name, and for the cart, I would like to maintain the cart ID. And then the user cart has to maintain the details about the various food items selected by the user. So let me type in prop string username, prop int cart ID, and prop list of cart items. With this, we have completed the models which are required to maintain the details about the user cart. Next, we need to create the database and the table within the SQLite, right? So to help us out, let us create a helper class. So let me right click on the helpers folder and create a new file, and let me provide the name for the file as create cart table, and let me remove the constructor, and within the class let me add a method to create the table. So let me type in public boolean create table, and let me define a try block to handle the exceptions. And then within the try block, let me type in var n equal to dependency service.get of iSQLite.get connection.create table of cart item, connection.close, and let me return true. And if somewhere something goes wrong, then within the catch block, let me return false. Next, we need to first create the table. So let me open the settings page, and then let me copy the button code and paste the code. And let me update the button to make the relevant changes. We can observe the text as manage cart and the name as button cart, and I have attached a new event handler called as button cart underscore clicked. Next, let us handle this event handler. So let me open the code file, and within the button cart underscore clicked event handler, let us try to invoke the method from the helper class to create the table. So let me type in var cct equal to new create cart table, and if cct.create table, then display alert of success, cart table created, OK. Else let me type in display alert of error while creating the table, OK. Next, let us set this page as the main page for our application. So let me open the app.xaml.cs file, and first let me comment the previous statements for the main page, and let me uncomment the main page with the settings page. Let us execute our application and let me click on the manage cart to create the cart table. We can observe an alert stating success, cart table created. Now let me click on the OK button. Now let me flip back to the Visual Studio for Mac and let me once again comment the main page as settings page, and let me uncomment the previously commented block. Now let us design the product details view as per the requirement. First, let me include the XML namespace which are required for this page. So let me type in XML namespace colon helpers and let me select the helpers namespace, and then let me type in XML namespace colon pancake and let me select the pancake namespace. Next, let us have a look at our requirement. So according to this requirement, we need a grid with 7 rows and 1 column. So let me type in grid and grid.row definitions, and let me use the magic of video to fasten the creation of row definitions. We can observe I have defined 7 rows for this grid, and since we require only 1 column, I haven't defined the column definitions. I hope you have understood that point right. Now let us place the UI elements as per the requirement. So let me type in image grid.row equal to 0, source equal to binding selected food item dot image URL, aspect equal to aspect fit, vertical options equal to start, and then we require a label to display the selected food item. So let me type in label grid.row equal to 1, text equal to binding selected food item dot name, text color equal to white, font attributes equal to bold, font size equal to 35, and margin equal to 25, 85, 0, 0. And then I would like to have an image button, source equal to font image, font family equal to font awesome, glyph equal to x colon static, helpers colon, icon font dot arrow left, size equal to 30, color equal to white, and grid.row equal to 0. Horizontal options let me set as start, aspect equal to aspect fit, vertical options let me set as start, margin equal to 10, 30, clicked equal to image button underscore clicked. Next, I would like to have a simple stack layout. So let me type in stack layout grid.row equal to 2, spacing equal to 10, padding equal to 10. Vertical options equal to start. Within that stack, I will take one more stack layout, this time with the orientation equal to horizontal, spacing equal to 10, and then I would like to display the details of product ID. So let me type in label text equal to product ID, font size equal to subtitle, and next I would like to take one more label and text binding selected food item dot product ID, font size equal to subtitle, and text color equal to purple. I have used a nested stack layout just to make my coding faster. And remember, it is advisable to use a grid layout instead of using stack layout. I have used stack layout because it will be easy for me to copy and paste. Once again, let me use the magic of video and let me fasten the video while I do my copy and paste and modifications. Now you can observe the product name, description, and rating. Next, let me use a grid with 3 columns to design the requirement for accepting the quantity. So let me type in grid and grid.row equal to 3, horizontal options equal to center, and let me quickly define 3 columns for the grid. Now you can observe we have 3 columns for the grid with equal size. Next, let me define a button to decrement the quantity value. So let me type in button text equal to minus and font size equal to 30, text color equal to white, background color equal to purple, grid.column equal to 0, horizontal options equal to n. And I would like to set the command for this button. So let me type in command equal to binding decrement order command. Next, I would like to have an entry control to display or to accept the quantity of the food items. So let me type in entry text equal to binding total quantity. Next, let me type in horizontal text alignment equal to center and font size equal to 30 and the grid dot column equal to 1. Next, for incrementing the order items, let me copy the button code and let me paste. And let me replace the minus with plus and let me change the command from decrement order command to increment order command. Next, let me take a stack layout with the orientation horizontal, grid.row equal to 4, and within that let me use a pancake. So let me type in pancake colon pancake view corner radius equal to 0, 20, 60, 0 and horizontal options equal to center. And within the pancake, now let me define a button. So let me type in button text equal to add to cart, background color equal to lime green, width request equal to 200, horizontal options equal to center, and the command equal to binding add to cart command, and the height request equal to 50. Next, let me copy the pancake code and let me paste it, and let me change the text as view cart and let me change the background color to orange and the command to view cart command. Finally, we need one more button at the bottom. So let me use a pancake again to provide a nice shape at the bottom. And one more important point. From Xamarin.Forms 4.7 onwards, we can use the shapes and paths to create these kind of shapes instead of using the pancake. Now, let me type in pancake colon pancake view grid.row equal to 0, corner radius equal to 60, 60, 0, 0, and within that I would like to have a button. So let me type in button text equal to go to home and the background color equal to sky blue and the height request equal to 50, command equal to binding home command. With this, we have completed our UI for the product details view. Next, let us create a view model to take the responsibility for this product details view. So once again, let me open the Solution Explorer and let me right click on the View Models folder and let me create a class with the name called as Product Details View Model. First, let me close the Solution Explorer for additional room space, and then let me remove the constructor for time being. And we know that the first step to do for the view model, right, that is to inherit the base view model. Next, let me define a full property to maintain the details of the selected food item. So let me type in prop full and then let me quickly update the property data type as food item and let me resolve the namespace issue and the private variable as underscore selected food item, and then let me change the data type of the property as food item and the property name as selected food item, and also let me replace the private variable name to selected food item, and also let me invoke the on property changed method. Next, let me define one more property to maintain the total quantity selected for the food item. So let me quickly define the full property for total quantity. Next, I have a requirement here, that is the maximum number of food items for each product should not exceed more than 10 items, and also we cannot even have the quantity lesser than 0. So let us add the condition now. Now, if this dot underscore total quantity lesser than 0, then this dot underscore total quantity equal to 0. And once again, for the next condition, if this dot underscore total quantity is greater than 10, then this dot underscore total quantity minus equal to 1. And let us invoke the on property changed method also. Next, once we have defined the properties that are going to be binded to the UI elements, next we need to define the properties for the commands that we have binded to the buttons. So let me type in prop command, let me resolve the namespace issues, and then increment order command, and then I need a property command decrement order command, and then we require a public command add to cart command, and then we need a public command view cart command, And then finally we need one more public command, home command. Next, let us define a constructor which accepts the food item as its argument. Then within the constructor, let us set the selected food item equal to food item and the total quantity equal to 0, and let us create the instance for the command objects. So let me type in increment order command equal to new command goes to increment order, and in the same way let me use the magic of video and generate instance for the remaining command objects. Next, let me generate the method for the increment order, and within the method let us increment the total quantity by 1. Next, let me generate the method for the decrement order, and within the method let us decrement the total quantity value by 1. Next, let me generate the method for the add to cart, and then within that method let me first define an instance for the SQLite connection. So let me type in var cn equal to dependency service.get of isqlite.get connection. Let us open a try block so that we can handle any exceptions. Try cart item ci equal to new cart item, product id equal to selected food item dot product id, product name equal to selected food item dot name, price equal to selected food item dot price, quantity equal to total quantity. Where item equal to cn dot table of cart item dot tools dot first or default of c goes to c dot product id equal to selected food item dot product id. If the item is null, then let us insert that item to the database table. So let me type in cn.insert of ci. Else it means that the product is already present within the cart and the user wants to update its quantity, right? So within the else block, let me type in item.quantity plus equal to total quantity, and then let us update the table cn.update of item. Next, let me commit the changes and also close the connection. Let us display an alert application.current.mainPage.display alert of cart and a message stating selected item added to cart. If you want, you can prepare different messages also for add and update. Then to close the alert, let me type in OK, and within the catch block let me type in application.current.mainPage.display alert of error ex message.ok, and finally let us close the connection. Next, let us generate the method for the viewCart async method, and within the method let me type in await application.current.mainPage.navigation.pushModel async of new cart view, and let me define this method as an async. And finally let me generate the method for the go to home async, and let me type in await application.current.mainPage.navigation.pushModel async, and let me pass the new products view as its argument, and let me type in this method also as async, and let me resolve the namespace issue. Next, let me open the Solution Explorer and let me open the code file of the product details view, and let us set the products view model as its binding context. To do that, let me first define a variable for the product details view model PVM, and within the constructor let me type in PVM equal to new product details view model of food item, and then this dot binding context equal to PVM. And within the image button click, let me type in await navigation.popModel async. Next, let us execute our application, and let me select a category type, and then let me select a food item. Oops, a small error in the design. This is the reason why I don't like to copy and paste the code. I guess we have not updated the grid column number. So let me open the XAML code. Yes, the grid column value is still 0. Let me update the value as 2. And let me save the file. And now we can observe the UI is displayed properly. And one more problem, the product name is not getting displayed. So some property name should be spelled wrong. So let me check out, and here it should be name. So let me change that and save the code, and we can observe everything is displayed properly. Next, let me increment some quantity, and also let me try to decrement the quantity. It is working fine. And let us add this food item to our cart. So let me click on the add to cart button. We can observe an alert stating selected item added to the cart. Next, whenever the user clicks on the view cart, we need to display the cart view for the user, which will display the list of food items ordered by the user. Next task we need to perform is to create the cart view. Before that, let me close all the opened files so that it will be easy for us to concentrate. Now, let me open the cart view XAML page and let us add the required namespaces for this page. So let me type in XML namespace :pancake and let me select the PanCake plugin. And then let me type in XML namespace :helpers and let me select the helpers namespace. And also let me type in XML namespace :iOS and select the iOS namespace. Let us set the safe area for the iOS. So let me type in iOS :page dot use safe area equal to true. And let me set the visual equal to material and the background color. Let me specify that as lime green. Next, let me remove the label first. Let us observe the design which is required for this page, and we can observe to achieve this we can use a grid with 4 rows and a single column. Now let me use the magic of video and let me create the grid row definitions. Next, let me create a box view at the grid.row equal to 0, and I will use this for a later requirement for this view. It doesn't make any difference now. Let me define a label text equal to, till now we haven't provided any name for our app, right? So let me give a name called as Burger Queen and the font size equal to 40 and text color equal to white smoke and font family equal to cabin sketch, horizontal options equal to center and vertical options equal to center. Next, let me define one more label to hold the username logged within our application. So let me type in label x:name equal to label name, font size equal to subtitle, text color equal to white smoke, horizontal options equal to center and vertical options equal to end. Next, as usual, I wanted to place the back arrow button. So let me once again use the magic of video to speed up my typing. Now we can observe an image button with the arrow left and an event handler attached to that. Next, let us define a pancake. So let me type in pancake : pancake view grid.row equal to 1, background color equal to white smoke and corner radius equal to 60, 60, 0, 0. And within the pancake view, let me define a list view where I would like to provide the name as list view cart items and the margin I would like to provide is 20 and the separator visibility equal to none and the background color equal to white smoke and item source equal to binding cart items. And since I will be using an header template, let me set the header property with an empty string. And also I will be using the view cell. Let me set the has uneven rows equal to true. Now let me define the header template for the list view control. So let me type in listview.header template and let me define the data template, and within that we need to define a grid. And according to our requirement, we need a grid with 5 columns. So once again, let me use the magic of video and speed up my typing while defining the column definitions. Now we can observe 5 columns are defined with equal size. Next, let me define a label. So let me type in label text equal to ID and the grid.column equal to 0, font size equal to subtitle and the text I would like to provide as green. Now for the remaining columns also we need to define the labels. So let me copy and paste the label for 4 times. And this time, before I forget, let me first update the column index. So let me type in 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, let me update the text. Now we have the headers as ID, name, price, quantity and cost. Next, let us define the item template. So let me type in listview.header template and data template. Within that, let us have a view cell and view cell.view. For our requirement, we need a grid with 5 columns. So let me do that faster. And we need to display the data for these columns. So we require the labels. So let me copy the above labels and paste the code. Now, let us update the text property value by binding with the properties of the cart. Now, we can observe our labels has been binded with the product ID, product name, price, quantity, and the cost. And also, since these labels are not the titles, let me update the font size as body for all the labels. Done. Next, let me define one more label to display the total cost. So let me type in label text equal to binding total cost, string format equal to total cost colon, placeholder of 0:C, and grid.row equal to 2, horizontal text alignment equal to end, font size equal to title, text color equal to white smoke. Next, we need a button. So let me type in button text equal to place order, grid.row equal to 3, text color equal to white, command equal to binding placeholders command, horizontal options equal to center, corner radius equal to 20. With this, we have completed the UI design for the cart view. Next, let us write the code behind for this file. So let me open the code file, and first within the constructor, let me type in label name.text equal to welcome plus preferences.get of user name comma guest. And also within the image button clicked, we need to type in await navigation.pop model async. If you wanted to avoid writing the code within the code file, then you need to define a property to maintain the username at the view model, and a command has to be defined to navigate back within the navigation stack. Once we have completed the UI for the cart view, next let us define a model to hold the cart information. So let me right click on the models folder and create a new class file with the name user cart item. Now let me define the properties to hold the user cart item details. So let me type in prop int cart item ID, prop int product ID, prop string product name, prop decimal price, prop int quantity, and prop decimal cost. Next, let me open the Solution Explorer. Already we have created a service for the cart item, right? So let me open that service. We can recollect I have created two methods where one method was displaying the number of cart items belongs to the user, and another method is to remove the cart items of the user, right? Where earlier I have just written a hard-coded value 0 as the user cart count. Now let us complete these functionalities. So within the get user cart count, let me type in var cn equal to dependency service.get of SQLite dot get connection. Next, let us get the user cart count, which will be maintained within the cart item table. So let me type in var count equal to cn.table of cart item dot count, and let me close the connection and let us return the count. Now this method will return exactly the number of food items selected by the user within the cart. Next, within the remove items from cart method, let us once again define an instance for the SQLite connection. We could have done that globally also, but just to make it simple, I'm defining the connection again. So let me type in var cn equal to dependency service.get of SQLite.get connection, and then in order to remove all the data present within the cart item table, we need to use cn.delete all of cart item. Then let me commit the changes to make it permanent, and also let me close the connection. Now our cart item service also has been updated properly as per the requirement. Next, we need to add a view model for the cart view so that it can take the responsibility of the cart view page. So let me right click on the view models folder and let me create a new class with the name cart view model. Next, let me close the solution explorer for some room space. Then let us do the first step we need to perform within the view model, that is to inherit the base view model. So let me do that. Next, we need to define a property to maintain the cart items selected by the user, right? So let us define a property to maintain the collection. So let me type in prop observable collection of user cart items. Now let me resolve the namespace issue and then quickly let me define a full property to maintain the total cost. So once again, let me speed up my typing and we can observe total cost property. Next, we need a command to place the orders, right? So let me type in prop command place orders command, and within the constructor let me type in cart items equal to new observable collection of user cart item. Then let us load the items using the load items method, and let us create an instance for the placeholders command. So let me type in placeholders command equal to new command of async equal to await placeholders async. Next, let me try to generate the method for the load items, and let me remove the throw new not implementation exception statement. Now, within the load items method, let us try to read the data from the cart item table and assign that data to our observable collection cart items. So let me type in var cn equal to dependency service.get of SQLite.get connection, and where items equal to cn.table of cart items.toList. This will read all the user cart items and assigns to the items collection. And then let me first clear the cart items collection. Next, we shall define a for each statement to iterate within the collection. So let me type in for each var item in items, and within the loop let us add the user cart item to the cart items collection. So let me type in cart items dot add of new user cart item, and let me set the values for all the properties. Cart item id equal to item dot cart item id, and product id equal to item dot product id, product name equal to item dot product name, price equal to item dot price, quantity equal to item dot quantity, cost equal to item dot price times item dot quantity. Next, we need to calculate the total cost of the user selected food items. So let me type in total cost plus equal to item dot price times item dot quantity. By the time the loop execution completes, all the cart items will be added to our observable collection, and also the total cost would be calculated. Next, let me generate the method for the placeholder async, and within that method we need to write the code to place an order. I will write that code shortly. So till then, let me write a simple command code to place order. And then I would like to navigate the user to the orders view page. So let me type in await application.current.mainpage.navigation.pushModel async of new orders view. And let me set the method also as an async method. And since we require an orders view page, let me open the solution explorer and add a new content page at the views. And let me provide the name as orders view, and let me just write a simple label with the text orders view. Next, let me execute the application. Oops, some error. Okay, we need to resolve the namespace. So let me open the cart view model and let me resolve the namespace issue. Now, once again, let me execute the application. We can observe one item is already there in the cart because we have added that item to the user cart, right? Now, once again, let me click on the burger and click some burger item. And let me add some quantity and let us add this food item to our cart. And let me close the alert box and let me click on the view cart button. Oops, we have forget to set the binding context to the cart view. So let me open the cart view and let me type in XML namespace colon VM equal to, let me select the view models folder and then let me type in content page dot binding context VM colon cart view model. And once again, let me execute the application. And now this time, if you observe the user cart, it is showing two items. So let me click on the cart. We can observe the food items that I have selected and okay. And once again, we can observe the issue with the copy paste. We are having the cart items displayed also in green because we copied the labels from the header template. Okay, if you want, you can change the color of the labels present within the view cell to some other color. For me, I concentrate on the functionality, so we can observe the calculations are correct and we can observe the total cost has been calculated properly. And when it comes to the look also, I don't think it is that bad, right? So I'm not going to update the color. As of now, everything is shaping as we are expecting. Next, we need to perform is to complete the order, right? So let me create the model for accepting the order. So let me right click on the models folder and let me create a new class with the name order. And within the class, let me define the properties for order ID, username and the total cost. Next, I require one more model to maintain the user order details also. So let me open the Solution Explorer and let me create a new model class with the name order details. Now, within the class, let us define the properties which are required to maintain a single order. So let me type in prop string order detail ID, prop string order ID, prop int product ID, prop string product name, prop int quantity and prop decimal price. Now let us create a service so that we can store these order details within the Firebase Realtime Database. So let me right click on the services folder and let me create a new file with the name order service.cs and let me close the Solution Explorer for more room space. Now first, let us define a variable for the Firebase client. So let me type in Firebase client and within the constructor, let us define the instance for the Firebase client. So let me type in client equal to new Firebase client of, let me paste the URL of our Firebase real-time database client. Now, let us define some methods to place the orders. So let me type in public async task of string place order async. Now if you remember that user cart item details are stored locally within the SQLite database, right? So placing an order means we need to read the data from the local SQLite database and we have to insert that user order details within our Firebase database. So the first thing we need to perform is to get the SQLite connection. So let me type in var cn equal to dependency service.get of isqlite.get connection. And in order to read the data from the cart item table, we need to type in var data equal to cn.table of cart item.toList. Next, we need to maintain the order ID for the user so that later we can keep track of the orders placed by the user, right? So let us define a variable to maintain the order ID. So let me type in var order ID equal to guid.newguidid.toString. And remember that GUID will always generate a global unique identifier value, which is always unique. Next, we need to get the username who is placing the order. So let me type in var uname equal to preferences.get of username comma guest. Then we require the total cost also. So let me type in decimal total cost equal to 0. Now let us iterate within our user cart items and prepare the order details. So let me type in for each where item in data. Let me define an instance for the order details. So let me type in order details OD equal to new order details. Now let us set the value for the properties of the order details class. So let me type in order ID equal to order ID, and then order detail ID, we need to set an unique ID for each order ID also. So let me assign with grid.newGrid.toString, and then product ID equal to item.product ID, product name equal to item.product name, price equal to item.price, and quantity equal to item.quantity, and total cost will be equal to total cost plus equal to item.price times item.quantity. Now let us add this order details instance to our database. So let me type in await client.child of order details dot post async of OD. And once the execution for this loop is completed, then we need to add a record for the user order also. So let me type in await client.child of orders dot post async of new order, order ID equal to order ID, comma username equal to uname, and total cost equal to total cost, and return order ID. And this will be the ID which will be used by the client for tracking the order. Great. We have created a service to add the user cart items to the Firebase Realtime Database. Next, as we have the service method to place the orders, let us update the cart view model to support placing the orders. So let me open the Solution Explorer and open the cart view model class. And within the place order async method, now let me remove the comment what I have made earlier. And now let me type in where ID equal to await new order service dot place order async as string. And once the user has placed an order for the food items selected earlier, we need to remove those items from the user cart, right? So let me invoke a method called as remove items from cart. And also let me update the orders view constructor for accepting the order ID as an argument. Now let us generate the method for remove items from cart. Let me first remove the throw new not implementation exception statement. We know that we have already created a service with the name cart item service with a method called as remove items from cart, right? So let us create an instance for that class and invoke that method to remove all the cart item from the cart items table. So let me type in where CIS equal to new cart item service, and then let us invoke the method. So let me type in CIS dot remove items from cart. Next, let me open the orders view code file and update the constructor to accept the order ID as its argument. Now let us create the orders view page. So let me open the orders view page, and then first let me once again use the magic of video and add the required namespace for this page. Done. Nothing special in this, right? Next, let me remove the label what we have added earlier, and let us define the grid. Let us observe our requirement. To achieve this requirement, we need to have a grid with 2 rows and 1 column. So let me quickly define the grid. Next, let me define a pancake for providing a nice rounded corner shape. So let me type in pancake colon pancake view, background color equal to white smoke, then the corner radius equal to 60, 60, 0, 0, and then grid dot row equal to 1. And then within the pancake, let me use a very simple layout to show the details about the order. So let me type in stack layout, horizontal options equal to center, and vertical options equal to center. And then I require a label text equal to thanks for placing an order with us, and then I require a label to display Please note down your order ID for further tracking. And then I require one more label to display the order ID to the user. So let me type in label x:name equal to label order ID, text color equal to purple, font size equal to subtitle, and then I would like to have a button to show all the products. So let me type in button text equal to view all products, width request equal to 200, background color equal to purple, horizontal options equal to center, corner radius equal to 20, and clicked equal to, let me attach an event handler. Let me open the code file for the orders view, and within the constructor let me type in label name.text equal to welcome plus preferences.get of username comma guest, and label order id.text equal to id. And within the image button underscore click, and let me type in await navigation.pop model async, and let me set the method also as async. Next, within the button underscore clicked event handler, let me type in await navigation dot push model async of new products view, and let me set the method also as async. Now let me execute the application. Oops, some error. Expected some braces in the order view. Okay, let me check out where we have missed it. Okay, the code of the image button what I copied doesn't have the closing braces. So let me update the code, and once again let me execute the application. I have opened our Firebase Realtime Database beside the iPhone simulator. We can observe still the cart consists of two items which we have selected earlier. Now let me click on the view cart button. We can observe the cart view is displaying the food item selected by the user Shaker. Now before I click on the place order button, just observe the Firebase database. When I click on the place order button, we can observe the order details table has got created, and also we can observe orders table is also created. We can observe that currently we have one order, and that order ID is displayed to the client as is tracking order ID. And we can observe there are two records present within the order details table. Let me expand that data also. Now we can observe the data what we have selected within the cart has been stored, and for both order details we have provided with a unique order ID, but the order ID remains the same for the order details. And now let me click on view all products to navigate back to the home page. And now if you observe, the cart items for the user is showing 0 items. Finally, we are almost approaching to the last functionality which is required for our application, that is the logout functionality. Now let me minimize my browser and let me open up the Visual Studio, and let me open the Solution Explorer, and let me open the logout view file. First, let us add all the required namespaces for this content page faster. And then let me remove the label what we have added earlier. Before I start with the design, let us observe the screen what we have to design. And in order to design this page, we require a grid with 2 rows and 1 column. Now, let me define the grid with 2 rows and 1 column faster. Next, the content for the first row is exactly identical what we have designed for the previous page, right? So let me copy and paste that code to save the time. So let me open the orders view page, and let me copy the code, and let me paste the code within the logout view page. Done. Next, for the second row, as usual, let me take the support of a pancake to provide the nice rounded corners. So let me type in pancake colon pancake view, background color equal to white smoke, corner radius equal to 60, 60, 0, 0, and grid dot row equal to 1. To make the design simple, let me take the support of the stack layout. So let me type in stack layout, horizontal options equal to center, vertical options equal to center, and then we have a requirement such that if the user has already added some food items to the cart, and then we have a requirement such that if the user has already added some food items to the cart, and if the user tried to log out without placing an order for the food items, I would like to inform that user stating your cart is not empty and you have selected some food items, and are you sure you wanted to log out? Fine. To do that, let me take a stack layout and is visible property let me bind with is cart exists. Then I would like to display some text messages for the user. So let me type in label text equal to cart is not empty, and then once again a label text equal to binding user cart items count string format. Your cart contains placeholder of 0 items. Next, let me take the support of another stack layout, and this time let me type in label to display the text are you sure you wanted to log out, and then I would like to take one more stack layout to display the buttons for navigation. So let me type in stack layout orientation equal to horizontal, spacing equal to 10, and then I would like to have a button with the text equal to yes, logout, and horizontal options equal to center, background color equal to red, corner radius equal to 20, and let me bind this button with the logout command. Next, I would like to define one more button with the text no, go to cart. Horizontal options equal to center, and background color equal to light green, and corner radius equal to 20, and let us set the command binding go to cart command. And if you want, you can provide one more button to go to the products view page also. Before I create the logout view model, let me go to the code file and let us provide the definition for our event handler. So let me type in await navigation.pop model async, and let us make the event handler also as an async. Finally, let us now create the logout view model at the views model folder, and let me close the solution explorer to provide more room space for coding. And we know that my first step for any of my view model will be inheriting the base view model, right? So let me do that inherits base view model. Next, for our logout view, we require two properties, right? One is user cart items count, and the other one is cart exists. So let me use the magic of video and define these properties faster. Next, once the required properties are defined, then next for the logout view we require two command objects, right? So let me define that also. So let me type in prop command equal to, let me resolve the namespace issue, and then let me provide the name for the command as logout command. And similarly, let me define one more command for go to cart command. So let me type in prop command go to cart command, and then within the constructor let us set the user cart item count. So let me type in user cart items count equal to new cart item service dot get user cart count, and is cart exists equal to user cart items count greater than 0. If it is true, then let me return true, else false. I don't have to use a ternary operator also. Just writing the expression will also work. Just for code clarity, for some people I have written this way, else my preferred way would be just writing the expression itself. Next, let us initiate the command object. So let me type in logout command equal to new command async goes to await logout user async, and then go to cart command equal to new command of async goes to await go to cart async. Next, let me first generate the method for the logout user async, and let me make the method as an async. And now whenever the user clicks on the logout button, we know that the code written within this method will be executed. So what I need to do here is, first we need to clear all the food items selected by the user. and then we have set the username with the preferences. So we need to remove that user details from the preferences, and also we need to redirect the user to navigate to the login view. Okay. Next, let me first generate the method for the logout user async, and let me make the method as an async. And now whenever the user clicks on the logout button, we know that the code written within this method will be executed. So what I need to do here is, first we need to clear all the food items selected by the user, and then we have set the username within the preferences, right? So we need to remove that user details from the preferences, and also we need to redirect the user to navigate to the login view. Okay, so let us do that. For that, let me type in var CIS equal to new cart item service CIS dot remove items from cart. We know that this will remove all the food items present within the user cart table. Next, let me type in preferences dot remove of username. This will remove the key from the preferences dictionary. And then finally, we need to redirect the user to the login view page. So let me type in await application dot current main page dot navigation dot push model async of new login view. Next, let me generate the method for the go to cart async also. First, let me make this method as an async. And now let me type in await application dot current dot main page dot navigation dot push model async of new cart. Finally, let us bind the view model to our view. So let me open the logout view, and let me type in XML namespace colon VM equal to. Let me select the view model's namespace. Next, let me type in content page dot binding context, and within that we need to type in VM colon logout view model. Next, let me execute the application, and let me quickly check out all the features which we have added is working fine or not. Great. Everything is working as expected. With this, I will be concluding this application. And what I wanted you to perform is, I have wantedly left some features for implementation in this application, which I wanted you to complete. The features which I have left out for you as an assignment is, in the home page, I have provided an order history image button beside the user cart items button. Whenever the user clicks on the order history button, if the user has already placed any orders, then I wanted you to read the data from the Firebase database for the relevant user and display the order details properly. Next, I have provided a search bar in the home page. Now, the second task I wanted you to perform is, if the user types in some food item in the search bar, and then I wanted you to navigate to a new content page with the name called as search result page, where I wanted you to display the food items which matches the user search. And when the user selects the product or food item from the search, we should able to provide a provision for the user to place an order for that product. Next, in the home page, I provided the latest 3 food items, right? Whenever the user clicks on the food items, I wanted you to navigate to the relevant product details page so that the user can place an order for the food item. Finally, one more optional task or challenge I wanted you to perform is, I have added the ratings for the food item, right? If possible, try to prepare the model for the ratings and allow the user to provide the rating for the product. And based on user ratings, I wanted to provide the rating for the food item. I hope you have enjoyed the journey of creating this food ordering app with me. Thanks for watching. Happy programming, yours Shekhar Srinivasan.